everyone, it is time for another round of box office predictions. But now, as always, before we jump into recapping last week's results, we got to give some Fantasy Movie League shoutouts. And you know what? I can't do individual ones again this week because we had 15 people score the perfect lineup. Here are all 15 that achieved that. It is astounding to me. I'm nipping at your heels, though. I think I was number 22 this week, and I'm quite proud of that. But seriously, nailing that lineup, nice job, guys. Now to recap how things went last weekend. I went 4 for 5. The obvious one, though, is what came in at number 1. It was Avengers Infinity War with another $114.8 million. Then it was Overboard, which had a very solid start, $14.7 million on a $9,000 per theater average. At number 3, it was A Quiet Place, which added another $7.8 million to its already impressive haul. Then it was I Feel Pretty at number 4 with another $5.1 million. And finally, it is Rampage at number 5. I thought Tully would have done better than that $3.3 million start, but that number left the door wide open for Rampage to take number 5 with its $4.6 million total. Moving into this weekend now, it is almost time to say goodbye to A Quiet Place in the top 5 at the box office, but not just yet, because I'm giving it my number 5 spot this weekend. It dropped a mere 30% last weekend during its 5th weekend in theaters. With no new horror competition, even though I think that percent change is coming up a little, it's not going to come up much, and I'm thinking it's not going to come up above 40%. And let's say it does lose 40% this weekend, it's still going to secure that number 5 spot with a rock-solid $4.5 million. Now that brings me to my number 4, and that is where I have Overboard. This one had a much stronger start than what I was anticipating, and I think it's going to serve it well this time around because, yes, we do have Life of the Party hitting theaters this weekend, but I think Overboard is going to hold on pretty strong, and I'm comparing it to Trainwreck because weekend 1, both of those movies had very similar per theater averages, and if they wind up staying neck and neck in that respect again this weekend, Overboard could wind up taking number 4 with another $9 million. Now we're moving into top 3 territory, and right here is where my rankings could fall apart, but you know what? I'm actually going to put Life of the Party at number 3. Yes, Melissa McCarthy does usually mean solid box office numbers, but in terms of her range at the box office, I have a feeling that Life of the Party is going to come in on the lower end of the spectrum, kind of similar to something like, let's say, The Boss. So that movie came out in April of 2016. When it hit theaters, started its run with $24 million. Kind of similar to the position that Life of the Party finds itself in this weekend, going up against Infinity War's 3rd weekend in theaters. The Boss opened up against Batman v Superman's 3rd weekend, but Batman v Superman in weekend 3 is making like half of what I think Avengers Infinity War is going to take this time around. So keeping that in mind, I do think Life of the Party is going to come in with a lower number than The Boss, and I also think the marketing campaign for this one hasn't really been all that strong, and clearly, I think Breaking In is going to make a solid amount this weekend, so you know what? That is why I have Life of the Party at number 3, and I think I'm going to have it come in with about $19 million, which, for me and my predictions, will put it just behind Breaking In, which is what I have at number 2. If you've looked at Will Packer's track record, especially since 2014's Ride Along, you are well aware that he is a producer that tends to make movies that make a lot of money opening weekend. So with Breaking In, the place that I started was just trying to look for a comparable, I don't know, home invasion stalker type movie. That led me to The Boy Next Door, which opened in January of 2015, and opening weekend, that one took $15 million. So that's where my mind was starting. Then I started to look at early ticket sales and also take into account Packard's track record. And when I think about that, then I move over to a movie like Obsessed. That is a Packer movie too. That one opened in April of 2009 with a whopping $29 million. I don't think that Breaking In is going to hit that number, but I do think it's very reasonable to think that maybe it could wind up topping the movie The Call. That movie kicked off its run with $17 million, so you know what? For Breaking In, I'm giving it an even $20 million and the number 2 spot for its first weekend in theaters. Now that brings us back to good old number one, and it's still Avengers Infinity War in that spot. The movie did lose a little more than I expected last weekend. I said 50%, it wound up dropping 55% in weekend 2. Moving into weekend 3 now, again, I am considering the fact that I can't really compare it to Star Wars The Force Awakens because at this point in that movie's run, it was still holiday season, and that's not the case with this one. So instead, I'm going to look at Jurassic World. With Jurassic World, in weekend 2, it dropped 49%. Weekend 3, that percent change actually came down, but only 0.2%. I actually think Infinity War could be on a somewhat similar path where we see the percent change number come down, maybe even more so than what Jurassic World experienced, because I think Infinity War in weekend 3 has less competition than Jurassic World in weekend 3 during its run. So I'm actually going to go back to that same 50% drop prediction that I had last weekend. And if that's how things play out for Infinity War, it's taken another $57 million to the bank for that top spot. It is time to recap my predictions now. I've got Avengers Infinity War at number 1 with $57 million. Sneaking in for that number 2 position with $20 million. Life of the Party coming in right behind with $19 million. Overboard taking the number 4 spot with $9 million. And then A Quiet Place rounding out the top 5 with $4.5 million. All right, guys, you know what time it is now. Hit that comment section below. There, you can share your top 5 picks for the weekend at the box office, and then be sure to check out the description section of this video because that's where you're going to find the link to the Predictions with Perri Fantasy Movie League and also the password so you guys can sign up. So check those out. I'm very curious to see how your predictions compare to mine, and also, clearly, I'm loving playing Fantasy Movie League. We got to get the competition going even more so join up. Before I close out this video, though, I have 3 Patreon shoutouts to give, and these are for 3 guys who have been part of the campaign for a while, and they're kind of my letter writing tier trio now. That is the tier where I send out a handwritten letter, something that, oddly enough, I really enjoy doing because I sit on the computer all the time, and I like writing letters, and I've written some too. Dustin Lewis, Sergio Viara Jr., and James Maddox. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. I hope you're enjoying being part of the campaign. I most certainly appreciate the fact that you are here, you are still here and supporting everything I do at this channel because I love doing it. I think this guy kind of likes doing it. He's down here somewhere. He's pissed that I disturbed him from his nap right now. So I think that's it for this box office prediction video. He's getting comfortable again. He's fine. I'll see you next weekend to check in on how we all did on our box office predictions. Bye, guys.